I'll spit the TLDR out for anyone who's in the chat right now. Hello, Jethro Parsons. TLDR. This is kind of expected. It's kind of expected. And it is a buildup of inert but radioactive gases. And the result is not a whole lot. And I kind of want... That's okay. This is breaking news, though. Kevin Blanche and Dana Dunford have both covered it. This is kind of expected. What will happen in any... Let's open this image. Yeah, there we go. So what's going to happen in any active nuclear fuel is that as it fissions, it kind of develops these cracks. And so the outside, this lightly colored, really lightly colored ring around the outside, that is really tough stuff. That's really hard ceramic material, and nothing escapes out of that material. But the inside, it swells a little bit and it cracks, and there's like some fission products that could escape. Now there are filters for this. There's filters all throughout the inner loops, all throughout the core of the reactor, so any gases that are emitted from the reaction, they bubble out of the water, they're filtered, and if they have any chemical reactivity, they can be captured. Great. Oxidize them, trap them, siphon them off somewhere, or have them stick to the filter, because the filters can be like oxidizing, really sticky stuff that just sucks up this material, these gases. But what if it's an inert gas? What happens then? Well, in that case, you can't just get rid of it. You can't, pardon a sec. Oh. You can't just hide it away. It will, not with a filter, it's going to go straight through that filter. If you try to, contain it, it'll have to be via physical means. So you'll have to have a total gas seal around that core. And that means you're maintaining pressure at all times. Well, that's no good. We need a different solution, unfortunately. So what's going on? And actually, I think I want to move this. I want to move this to my main monitor. It's a little easier to manage the font and graphic size up there. God, I'm really... Actually, I think this is fine right here. All right. So this is not a health risk. Radio Yerevan, there will not be an INES scale on this. Kind of disappointing, huh? Because what's going on is this material is not that worrying. It's a typical nuclear plant event caused by one or more fuel bundles leaking fission products into the core cooling water. Again, on the inside, they start to develop cracks, and the only problem is that the containment around the outside has been damaged. And this can happen because your workers are not trained well enough. They're not ready to handle it, and they allow it to crack. Is my background a little too irritating? It's a little busy today. I think I'm going to replace it with something else. I'm going to go select a new background. I like that better. So China does a pretty good job at this. They're not the worst, but they could be better, of course. Let's get this image in the background so that we're talking about it all together. So getting those fission products in the core cooling water, typical everywhere. It's one of several of these plants, and they did partner with other experts in the field. So they partnered with EDF. So we know they're not alone on this, and so EDF actually said, hey, here's our status, and they continually report their status. They're not worried about saving face. They've done this before. They don't know that Westerners are going to freak out and say, "Oh my gosh, Chinese nuclear plant, it's gonna pop. Oh no. Oh no." Okay, so yeah, ceramic fuel, just like this on the right. It's extremely resistant to heat. Goes into rods. They fit really tight. And when that fuel fissions, it produces all sorts of lighter elements. And some of those can't be captured chemically, like xenon or krypton can't be captured chemically. The logic behind the use of ceramic fuel is that its extreme resistance to heat and hardness keeps most of these lighter elements trapped inside. That means one extra layer of protection against fission products escaping. So not only is this normal, they thought that they had a solution to keep those fission products inside the fuel at all times. If you remember San Onofre and the reason that San Onofre shut down, it's because they had to release some of this very same gas because they had a turbine fault. They had a defect in their circulation system that warranted replacing all of those products. So you get this extra layer of hard ceramic containment. So that means they're expecting lower than usual inert gas or noble gas fission products out there, right? Problem with ceramics is that they crack. So the pellet swells, and then some cracks start to form. These cracks let some fission gases out inside the fuel rod. Then, if the fuel rod does its job, the gases are retained inside, not just the years of operation in the reactor, but the 5 years spent cooling off in a pool, then in storage after that. Thought I heard someone ping me, but I don't see it now. Oh, I see. Someone said nuclear. I'm now check it out. I am now pinging myself whenever anyone says nuclear. So keep on going. I'll in fact, I think I'm going to change it so it doesn't make a sound. You can say nuclear or nuke and I will get notified. No sound anymore, because that could get annoying. So in the US, these fuel rods used to crack and leak all the time, with an average of several dozen leakers per reactor over the life of the plant. Then the manufacturers got together to institute extreme quality control to stamp it out, and they've succeeded. So in general, fewer fission elements escape from a US nuclear plant than this one. Here's a lot of background about what are the noble gases: helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. They don't combine with other elements. Very rarely, if ever. Xenon forms in fuel from uranium atoms breaking into smaller chunks. Xenon comes in flavors, 131, 133. One of those is radioactive. Or both of those is radioactive. So they can't hurt us. They have a limited ability to hurt us because they can't combine with anything in a body. So if you get exposed to these gases, they just bounce off of you. They don't get trapped in your body. They do not bioaccumulate. Presence of xenon in water indicates at least one fuel rod is letting fission products into the cooling water. This hasn't led to harm to the public. So why was the plant shut down? The leaking fuel rods are a maintenance headache, not a risk to public safety. But they want to fix it because it's a maintenance. It's a maintenance problem. So we can detect the tiniest amounts of radioactive substances. Radiation is everywhere, and we have the tools to detect it no matter what. No matter how dangerous or how innocuous it is, we can easily detect radiation. So, if there's not a big demand for electricity in the next few days, they're going to shut down the plant and try to remove the leaky fuel rod, right? This is a brand new reactor, so they're going to be very careful. They're going to find the leaky rod, they're going to shut it down, they're going to take out the leaker and replace it, possibly. So here's a similar incident. But see, and this is the way this is reported to the public is really not good, not ideal. Very small leakage of a fuel rod, increase in iodine and noble gases in the reactor cooling water. But this doesn't escape the plant. Almost never. I mean, the iodine is absolutely trapped. that iodine's very reactive. Riot E7, you said you had a leaky rod. What's the context for that? Is that inside of a plant and your nuclear engineer, your PhD said, don't worry about it? Or was it something else? Below the international standard that would warrant a public warning, and the power plant was under no obligation to make a public announcement. All right. Same as ever. In 3 Mile Island, even a full core meltdown in a PWR needn't expose the public to any health threat from the fission products. And here's the worst case, Chernobyl. Avoid the milk. At iodine 131, that will really mess you up. So that's what you've got to avoid. I like this. You get a lot of clicks, but only on links, not on Geiger counters. Ayo! Xenon is so excited to get out there and see the world, it serves as a helpful early warning signal that there might be fuel rod cracks. And they'll clean it up in the next refueling outage. So they're not even going to remove the leaky rod. They're going to leave it as is. How do we know which particles are floating around? Because radioactive particles decompose in predictable ways. We can tell based on energy level of particles or gamma rays coming into detectors, which atoms are out there, which atoms are breaking down. Oh, this is a good one. I just saw someone mention this. ERCOT is running out of power again. Oh no. So here's Mark Nelson. He's got a really good thread. Go ahead, check it out. I'll put it there. I'm going to put it on my coverage links in the STV news section on Twitch Politics Discord. And I will send you an invite to that as well. Here's the Discord. You'll get all of the links that I publish. I'll put in there. This one's good. So one of the underappreciated things that makes nuclear energy safe is that even countries that have beefs with each other cooperate at an unusual extent on plant safety and improving operations. But sort of what he doesn't say here is that China was thumbing their nose at Japan, saying, you're going to release all this tritium from the TEPCO plants. We don't trust you. No. Well, doesn't China look foolish right now? The more you scare and fearmonger, the more embarrassing it is going to be for you when you've got to face the music on your own time. Right? What process is making my frame rate drop? Just using too much GPU for some reason. At any rate, good thread from Mark Nelson there. And he linked us to this. ERCOT has issued a conservation alert, and Texans are being asked to safely reduce their electricity use. So, because Texas, they love their air conditioning, they cranked it way up, and now it's projected to eclipse all of the energy use, all of the energy production that they have. So they're going to be consuming more than they can possibly produce. Uh-oh. I'll add this Market Watch link as well to the old leak. Plant issued a statement saying environmental data indicates Taishan nuclear plant and its surroundings are normal. Well, how do we know we can trust them, right? It is China after all, right? They're also saying the incident did not affect the plant's safe operation. Is that a denial? Hong Kong Observatory shows ambient gamma radiation levels for the past 24 hours are normal. So if you've got a leak, you can't find it as close as Hong Kong. So the number 1 reactor primary circuit has an increase in the concentration of noble gases. That's EDF. That's where this came from. There's no conspiracy theory like Kevin Blanch was saying, oh, this was a leak in the media. Like we weren't supposed to know about those. It was anonymous. It was all sorts of garbage coming from Blanch. Yet again, trying to say that, well, there was some inside rogue agency or rogue reporter that leaked the news. No, not true. Almost no reason for this to be a concern. It's just a non-event. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just boring news. Right? So Hong Kong Security Bureau says it was notified of operational events in February and April. Again, leak of gases from one or more fuel rods into the water and steam around the heart of the reactor. So this is still 2 or 3 levels deep inside of the reactor. Some of those gases will eventually leak out. They will have to depressurize. They will have to release pressure. They will have to circulate air. But very, very few of them will get out. I don't think that thread's even worth it. Chinese plant built with French technology. Yes. Framatome is the fuel provider. So they're the maintenance crew. So EDF designed and built, and Framatome is the maintenance person. Memes of destruction on YouTube. How is it going? So GCN is the Chinese nuclear owner-operator. So they're applying for a waiver. So if there is a little bit of a misunderstood leak, we are allowed to tell them how to fix it. That's why they need a waiver. So Framatome is asking to transfer knowledge from one of their perhaps from one of their US subsidiaries into China. So they have to disclose it. Journey started. This is, in fact, a brand new plant. That's one of the reasons why they found the leaky rod, is because it's brand new and they're watching it so closely. So Framatome didn't actually reach out for help. They reached out for approval to transfer knowledge into China to fix the problem. Someone says ambient dose is exceeding approved levels. Well, that's a good question. Is that in this story actually? Where we're at, number 6. And is this the story? So here's the map from CNN. Oh, the warning included an accusation that the Chinese Safety Authority was raising acceptable limits for radiation detection. So here's where someone gets it in their head that they'll cause some news. This is a EPR, so an evolutionary pressurized reactor, I think is what the term stands for. Yeah, evolutionary power reactor. So basically it's just another third generation iteration on the pressurized water reactor. So they're starting to standardize these more thoroughly. Easier and cheaper to build. Sort of like the APE 1000, where, yep, memes of destruction, no reporting that the cooling systems are at all damaged. So it's immediately to the west of Shenzhen. Let's get that on Google Maps. Oh, Google Earth, yeah. I wonder if it's on here. There's the city, right? We could be searching for this for a while. Here's the town. Oh, I know what I can do. I can search for the NRC or IAEA. Taishan 1. Here we go. Reference power 1660 megawatt electric. And where is it located? Wikipedia has it. Here's some coordinates for us. We'll put these in. I'll put them in chat. Oh yeah. Yep. Wikipedia to the rescue. Got it in my list of, all right. Safecasts say about this area. Journey started, you're right. We are only planning SMRs in the US right now. It's 345 megawatts for the Natrium reactor, which is really tiny. So you're right that Taishan, the town, was very high density. Up here, it's very high density. But here, there's a lot of nothing. This is all industrial. It's on the other side of this mountain. There's a farm a little ways away. There's a little bit of farms, but it's on the other side of this mountain range. These coastal mountains. Across the bay from a lot of homes and farms in Chiapeng. Dense as you might think. It's just over the hill. Let's take a look at the Safecast maps. And it looks like someone got really excited. Nope, they're not quite there. Thin Island. So if someone so nothing is on, no samples on the Safecast map. You were looking over here in Macau. That little island is Dejin Island, right there. So again, this is a non-event so far. It is a normal operation. Fuel pellet was loaded with damage, and a normal operation fission product leakage contained inside of the plant. We've heard some rumors that there is elevated radiation, which would be if someone using a Western map was there, it would be on the Safecast map. Go back to this. Well, let me go straight to the chase. Let's cut straight to the chase and look at this CNN art, not the CNN, but the Reuters article. That's what we really want to read. French power group EDF has begun examination of a potential issue linked to a buildup of inert gases at its nuclear power station in China. Actually, it's the Chinese General Nuclear Power who owns the plant. It's EDF has a 1/3 partnership here. The U.S. government has spent the past week assessing report of a leak inside Taishan, is what they should say. It's not a leak of the plant. It is a internal leak that's unexpected. So some sloppy reporting there, unfortunately. And so this imminent radiological threat, well, this is their justification for transferring knowledge outside of the US. This is they need to beg for permission to address this problem. And so they have to say, well, it is safety related because it is radiological in nature and it's leaking and it needs to be under control. And so the process for controlling that, well, that prevents a radiological threat, right? No, they were blowing up the estimate of how bad it could be in order to get compliance from a bureaucrat. Known phenomenon studied and provided for the reactor operating procedures. Krypton and xenon do not tend to react with other substances, but they do have radioactive qualities, and they're therefore subject to constant monitoring. Regular monitoring data shows that Taishan and its surrounding environment meet normal parameters. Then I think we get to the IAEA. Here he is. The IAEA said, at this stage, the agency has no indication that a radiological incident occurred. So the IAEA has measurement available, and they're saying there's nothing here, nothing we can find yet. Framatome included an accusation that the safety authority was raising the acceptable limits for radiation detection outside the Taishan plant to avoid having to shut it down. Woof. So they did. So they have a really low limit and they want to keep going. They don't want to shut it down. So they raised the limits as a precaution. I think in one of these threads we will see a map where we've got some response to that. We've got some indication of how much the exposure has gone up, or how much the possible effluence has gone up. So Katie says she spent her first nuclear internship cataloging and sorting failed fuel events into an internal database. There are a lot of them, and generally they present no hazard to reactor operation nor the public. So they're trying to fully understand the situation before failing fuel early in a reactor's life. So it's a new reactor. They're perhaps within operating parameters. Journey, yeah, I think they are raising the limit because you want to move intelligently in this sort of situation. You want to say, okay, we see something, it is a possible concern, and it may cause a indicator, which is also there as a precaution if something happens out of the ordinary for an unexplained reason. You would have a limit. And if you cross that limit, that means there's something there you can't explain, and so you shut down. But if you know the reason for an increase in fission products, and you can predict it, then that defeats the purpose of having a indicator of failure, an indicator of an unknown problem. You have a known problem, so you raise the limit. Failed fuel wouldn't be the actual problem, just a way to identify a much bigger problem. Possibly. Katie says she admits she's speculating here. Fission gases outside the building could be a filter has become saturated and is allowing some to go through. So if they have any hope of containing inert fission products, maybe it's just been saturated, because there are systems that they try to use to prevent any outgassing. Oh, here it is. This is the good one. This is the Chinese NNSA. So on the 13th, they show 153 nanograys per hour. And later on the 13th, so what did they go from? They went from... Did they go up from 137 to 153? Because that second one is lower. Let's look at the timestamp. Is there a timestamp? I can't read Chinese, so I'm not good at this. And there's no timestamp on this one. Oh no, that's a different location. What are they doing here? This second one is nowhere near the plant. Oh, it's lower. That's what they're showing. They're showing the comparison. So far away from the plant, it's 137 nanograys per hour. And next to the plant, it's 153 nanograys per hour. Levels at both sites near Taishan have been elevated since late May. Okay, I'm gonna pass this one along too. So that one is the map and the explanation of this is gammas, nanogray gammas per hour. So it's very easy to detect and not as harmful, and it's very easy to detect at a long distance. I really like the explanation that Framatome is perhaps being very dire in their prediction in order to get a bureaucrat to give them permission to export data, export information to their Chinese subsidiary. Because otherwise, they could be accused of divulging security secrets, right? And so here's a little bit of that fear-mongering. Here's some fear-mongering. Uses the same EPR reactor as Hinkley Point C. Well, big deal. Not a serious event. World Nuclear News. Pretty good source. Taishan 1 is in its second fuel cycle. And it was the #1 reactor. So the one that they had put into the second fuel cycle, they had greater than expected fission product in the primary loop. Here's that World Nuclear News article. And then we're going to get to the fun stuff. We're going to get to, I'm going to go look up Kevin Blanche and Dana Durnford saying this is another Fukushima about to happen. And we're going to get some live reacts to the ridiculousness after I change the text around it. So here's some simulations of air currents flowing over that site and where they could go. Just in case you look for someone, someone is going to right-click, they're going to save this image, and they're going to say, oh, look, it's a meme. It's going to be China's radioactive pollution contaminating Okinawa. But no, it's not. It's not actually It's a Okinawa-jima. Yeah. And where is that island, anyways? What's the difference between Okinawa-jima and Okinawa? Because Okinawa is a city, pretty big one, as I. Oh no, it's that small island. So they'll be predicting, they'll be predicting the Chinese reactor. Thanks, Black Cat. See, I have my chat to correct me the minute I make a mistake. Thank you very much. We're here for the best information, and when we make a mistake, we absolutely need to know it immediately. So that is part of Japan, right there. It's just all the lines over it. It's like, well, how big is it? There's a lot of tiny islands under dispute and the 9-dash line and all that, so Japan having territory in the East China Sea, definitely interesting. So yeah, this is a good point. If we go to Safecast, let's go back to the Safecast map. I save that one as Okinawa Taishan. That's true. Then we should see some impact over here, right? It's all normal. It's all in the blue. No hotspot. That's what I'd keep an eye on, honestly, is, oh, there's no air sensor. This is all historic data. One at Taipei. These are showing no change. So those are online sensors. And pointing to the right is like, okay, barely any change, no change. Here's the thing that I teased stream with at the start. This is a chemical plant explosion. This is not nuclear related. This is the bait. This is what people are going to say is nuclear a week down the road. This is chem tool explosion in Rockton, Illinois. Let's put that on screen. Let's be responsible and put that on screen. Yeah, it's the lube fire. Yeah, the lube factory fire. Not nuclear related, but catch someone, because it happened on the same day. Someone far in the future is going to say that was Taishan. Let's do some reacts. We're going to react to some Dana Durnford, some nutty, fear-mongering, anti-nuclear crazies.
So they'll be calling you a radical. Stay on this. So I'm trying to get this confirmed through the Peace Vigil, through my contacts in DC, through my anonymous army. So what happened on 6/6? There was a meltdown. France, of course, is covering it up. China's not going to tell you. This is the new fucking European fucking water boiler right next to Hong Kong, by the way. And don't you think it's outrageous? They're throwing all the activists in Hong Kong. The United States did not protect Hong Kong. They protected them for 100 years. Not now. The U.S. is all in on the imperialism. So this nightmare should have never fucking been built. The cover up of Fukushima caused this. This is a meltdown. And so a letter was written to the United States Department of Energy, which by law has to happen. So by law, believe it or not, someone leaked it to fucking, I'm trying to get a hold who, how. I told you we're going to get more and more leaks. And CNN of all people reports it. Now think about this. CNN reported it.
This is Kevin Blanche. He said he is predicting the most dire circumstances from every nuclear event that has ever occurred, and none of them come true, except for maybe Fukushima, right? Because you were right. The one time you gotta milk that. You milk that reaction for the rest of your life.
There was a letter written by the French owner that operates this reactor in southern.
Okay, I got you there, Kevin. It wasn't the operator. It was the maintenance crew who wanted to transfer knowledge from the U.S. into China. You're not allowed to do that. You have to have a really good reason to transfer knowledge from the U.S. to China. Safety is one of those good reasons. So if they can say, hey, this is a possible safety incident, well, that'll be the good reason to transfer knowledge there, right? It's not coming from EDF, it's coming from Framatome. EDF probably had to sign off on it, but Framatome's the one making the claims, making the justification for the knowledge transfer.
China. That there's radiation plume imminent. Well, so what that means, they already know that there's radiation in the atmosphere. They're talking the jet stream. Now think about this. Radnet, Gina McCarthy crashed Radnet on March 11th, 2011. That's an unarguable fact. They took it down offline. She was head of Radnet, and then she came out of the EPA. She's the climate czar. She's one of.
He just accused Gina McCarthy of taking down Radnet. What? That's not Radnet. That's the International Nuclear Accident, NNSA. I remember Trump took down our ability to do flyover monitoring. That was taken down. But Gina McCarthy didn't have anything to do with that. Aerial Measuring System, Department of Energy. NNSA's Aerial Measuring System. Airborne radiation detection systems to provide real-time measurements of low levels of air and ground contamination. AMS emergency response, etc., etc. So this is what we got to worry about, right?
The greatest criminals who ever walked the face of the fucking earth. Killed your dog, killed your tree. This fucking epic. So the letter was written. It got leaked. Now remember, Anderson, Vanderbilt, Cooper, and Sanjay Gupta practicing M&D were in Fukushima, Japan the first 6 days. By the way, nuclear meltdown, or these nuclear meltdowns. Jim Wallace from MIT was saying, no, when I'm screaming, get out. They got out. I know for...
All right. So here it is. Trump administration confirms the U.S. is leaving Open Skies Surveillance Treaty. Allows the U.S., Russia, and other countries to fly their aircraft over each other's territory, increasing transparency and reducing the chances of perilous miscalculations. The United States will no longer be a party to the treaty. And as a result, they started scrapping the planes.